We're going. Ready? Matt?
You got it, Evans.
You got everybody?
Did you get Aaron?
Dirty?
I got Aaron.
Okay.
Aaron. Hi.
Love you.
Okay. Looks like we're ready. I would like you to close your eyes. Can you remember when you were a fourth grader? What kinds of things do you remember learning? Was it the school? Was it the teachers? Or maybe even some of your classmates? Do you recall what you were learning? Can you remember your science class? That you got to dissect the owl scat? Maybe you were that little boy who chased the little girl around just to gross her out. Maybe you liked learning history, the history of our great nation. Now imagine you have a little boy or girl who's entering fourth grade. What will they remember in their school years? Will it be stressing to take a standardized test or making the grade? The No Child Left Behind Act started with our greatest intention, but has become a dirty band-aid to disguise what states and schools are doing to avoid losing their funding. I'm the mother of 5 children. Their ages are 9, 11, 12, 14, and 18. I became increasingly annoyed with our system while trying to get some of my kids more work in school and others help because they were struggling, only to be met with state guidelines or no funding. I've actually been very involved with all of my children in a variety of schools. This is why I've decided to seek a degree in elementary education. Today we'll address the schools lowering their standards to meet the No Child Left Behind Act, how much money was appropriated to the act, and some solutions to help turn a corner and start fixing the gray in the No Child Left Behind Act. The largest problem with the No Child Left Behind Act is the schools are lowering standards to meet the No Child Left Behind Act proficient guidelines in math and reading. The 10th Amendment of the Constitution prohibits the government from interfering with each state's curriculum. According to the United States Department of Education, the federal government gets around this by offering federal money so long as you comply with the rules and guidelines that they lay out in the No Child Left Behind Act. However, each state gets to govern their own level of proficiency, leaving the room for human manipulation of these standardized tests. The federal government provides funding to public schools based on how they are performing on these standardized tests. And according to the Federal Education Budget Project of 2013, over $13 billion was dedicated to Title I grants. The largest recipient was No Child Left Behind. In an article written in the Washington Post, it stated that the advocates for this program are saying that the No Child Left Behind Act is encouraging states to lower standards so that these schools can avoid consequences and miss the boat and not perform to the levels that the act has set for them to achieve. In an article that I found in the New York Times about federal studies researching lowering standards, it found that 1/3 of the United States had lowered their standards. Some of these states include Maine, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Missouri, South Carolina, just to name a few. Some of the consequences for not meeting the No Child Left Behind Act standards in schools are: first year, you get a transfer option. Second year, supplemental services. Your year 3, you get corrective action. Year 4, a restriction plan. And by year 5, they're reconstructing and firing teachers and administrators and starting over. One good grade after years of poor performance erases the whiteboard and begins the clock again. After just discussing one part of the No Child Left Behind Act, I'd like to move on to suggestions of solutions, and while some of these are not mine, others have become mine and are collaborations with family and friends over the No Child Left Behind Act. If states want to receive federal funding, we need to implement a tiered payout program to the schools based on guidelines that are decided on within a board of educators, parents, and administrators. If a school wants to receive 100% of federal funding, they should be required to meet 100% of the guidelines. If they only want or need 75% of the funding, then only meet 75% of the guidelines. 50, do half the work. 25% of the fund, only meet 1/4 of the guidelines. Why not offer more teachers incentives? Maybe a race to the top type of program. Offer performance-based bonuses annually. Who could not or would not want the extra money during the holiday season? In a magazine, The Progressive, Susan Hobart wrote, quote, "We need teacher-led professional development and more local control over school budgets and policy making." In my opinion, this is an amazing starting point and a great base to start the reform of the No Child Left Behind Act. Increase our tests beyond just math and reading. Allow our students creative thinking. Include sections, science, history, art, music, health. This would give our teachers a greater range instead of just concentrating the majority of the time or months on reading and math and how to take a test. In closing, we've talked about the manipulation of the standardized tests in order for schools and states to continue receiving their allotted government money, how our country needs to find a solution such as a tiered school fund, teacher bonuses, development of teacher-led professional teams. Now that I've told you just about one of the problems within the No Child Left Behind Act, I hope I have either educated you to the manipulation that happens within the states, opened your eyes to teaching to the test, and tying our teachers' hands, leaving no room for art, history, music, science. Or maybe I've inspired you to get to know your educators and make experiences that your children have in school as memorable as the ones we all had. As I said before, the No Child Left Behind Act is nothing more than a broken set of guidelines, and it is time to tear off the dirty Band-Aid and allow the system the ability to heal.
Maddie, look over here.